So Mia would have been like 7 at the
Yeah.
time? Okay. In fact, 7 and 2 months.
Yes,
Okay. And that's when things started to change. And then not only that, but the next year in 2015, you went on a visit to Mexico, is that correct?
yes,
Okay, and you went to Irapuato, Guanajuato,
yes,
and you were driving,
yes,
you were all driving,
yes,
all right? It's a long drive,
very long.
perhaps even dangerous drive.
Right away, I got dangerous.
In Nuevo Laredo, you were robbed, is that right?
Oh, yes,
Okay, so that was a bad experience for everybody.
yes.
Okay, and when you got to Mexico, did you spend like more time than it was necessary for you, that you had planned before?
Yes,
Okay, and the reason was because the truck broke down,
yes,
and Mr. Garcia Sanchez spent a lot of time trying to fix it, because that was the only way to come back.
there was no tickets to come back.
I'm sorry?
There was no tickets in the bus to come back. So the truck was we left it at the port agency. And they took, it took them a month, a little bit more, and they opened the motor. Trying to fix it, see what it was, and they
Okay.
couldn't figure it out, and they wanted to keep it more longer than time, so yes.
Okay, so,
They wanted to keep it, they wanted to reopen again the motor to find out what was the problem. So, yes.
so the truck was left in Irapuato, Guanajuato, back?
Yes. we
Okay,
did.
how did you get back?
In the bus, I believe it was overnight.
Okay,
It wasn't until then that we found tickets because every other tickets were round trip, most of them, and we didn't have the passport. It was, I couldn't fly.
right. You weren't prepared for that eventuality, right? You were
No,
not prepared for that.
it was something that he
Just happened.
decided at the last minute, and I said,
Okay.
yes, let's do the adventure, and it turned out to be an interesting adventure.
So did Mr. Garcia Sanchez come back from that trip together, or did he remain behind?
No, we all came back on the,
Okay,
together,
but the truck did not.
without the truck. We left the truck.
Okay, now, while you were, where did you stay in Irapuato, Guanajuato?
At his grandparents' house?
Grandparents' house?
Yes.
Okay, and what were the staying arrangements or living arrangements during the time that you were there? Where did you all live? What, was there like a bedroom that you all slept together?
It was a room, and that room, it had two bedrooms, twin size and a full size. And his grandmother stayed in the same room with us.
Okay, and grandma and Mia slept in the same bed, is that right?
Yes,
Okay, and while you and your husband and the little boy, who was like about a year old, slept in a different bed.
yes, and sometimes the grandmother will sleep on my husband's bed. And it was me and the kids on the other bed.
Okay, but your husband did not sleep in the same bed all together, bunched up together, is that right?
No, the bed was too little.
Too little? Okay, all right. And how many people were living in that house at the time?
It was his uncle and the grandfather and the grandmother. So it was only 3 adults before us.
And did you notice any change in Mia at the time of that visit, that vacation to Irapuato, Guanajuato?
No,
No, did she come to you and say, hey, Mom, I want to tell you about something that happened to me with my father?
no,
Nothing at all?
no.
By the way, and I'm going to ask you this question in another context, but did you have an opportunity? I mean, did you have to watch clothes over there? The clothes that your family was carrying and taking for the trip? Did you have to watch them?
I guess, but very minimal. I remember going up. It was on the up of the house, but I just put it up. But
Did
not
you
that much, only one day.
Okay, well, were you watching Mia's clothes?
I don't even remember on that who was close was it, to be honest with you.
Well, let's remember, Leah was 7 or 8 years old at the time, right?
Yes,
And she wasn't washing her own clothes at the time, right?
no,
Okay, you were the one watching.
yes, I was doing
Okay. Did you see anything in her underwear that perhaps caused you concern?
No,
Nothing?
No,
No
nothing.
fluids of any kind,
No,
blood
sir.
or anything?
no,
Uh, were you given like baths to your daughter when she needed a bath over there while you were staying at his grandmother's house?
she was doing that herself. She was already 70.
She
I
would,
would just assist her, mommy, give me this or something, but yeah.
but you
But
were,
me, I was in charge of Mia, the kids, give them a bath. He didn't do that, I did that.
she did not do what now?
I was the one giving it since she was little, taking care of them, like giving them the bath.
Okay,
Objection non-responsive.
Right, that'll be overruled.
so you were in charge, but do you remember, if you have a memory of you giving Mia a bath in
Yes.
Mexico?
Um,
Or helping her out?
yes, I was the
Okay.
one on that, yes.
No concerns there or anything?
No,
Okay.
no,
What about on the trip back? Did she express any concerns?
on the trip back. Well, we were on the back, the only concern was, as we get in the bus, we hear a loud sound, and we thought we had been through the robbery, right?
Through the
Right.
trauma of the robbery?
Right, so, but it was a window that broke, so we were just like, as passengers, all scared, you know? But that was the only concern that I remember.
Okay, but was Mia, did she look unhappy? Did she look
No,
like
no, she was happy.
concerned?
No, no,
Did she shy away from any contact with your husband at the time?
no, no, no.
Okay. And was Mia sitting next to you or sitting next to your husband?
Yeah. I think she was next to me. He had Sebastian, but then as I was breastfeeding still, so I was, at some point she was sitting here, Sebastian was with me. It was, I think, back and forth probably.
Okay, and the trip being long, more so than driving your own private vehicle, how long did the trip in a bus take?
In the bus. We drove all night. Yeah, that was about, I would say 16 hours, if I remember.
16 hours?
Yes,
Did you all have to stop to eat something or was breakfast provided in the bus itself?
no, we would have to stop.
Not to stop?
Yes,
And did you have contact with Mia during the bus stops?
yes.
Okay. Did you provide her with breakfast and food to eat and refreshments?
We will get the snacks,
Okay.
go to the restroom. She will go to the women's with me.
Object to relevance, Your Honor.
Right, that'll be overruled.
Were you in the restroom, for example, in the women's restroom with Mia
Yes,
alone,
along with the other passengers.
not in the presence of my client?
Correct, no?
Okay. And were you helping her in do her necessities?
Right. Yes, I
Okay.
was taking care of her, making sure everything was fine. It was okay.
Perhaps lowering her underwear, helping her with the toilet and that sort of stuff?
Yes, correct,
Okay.
yes.
Notice anything weird or bad?
No,
No? Okay. And but was Mia jealous of Sebastian?
yes.
How jealous was she?
She has always said, I want to be.
I object to
another
speculation, Your Honor.
All right, she can answer the question if she knows.
I mean, if she knows, I mean, can you tell how jealous she was?
child. She's jealous. She wanted to be an only child.
Oh, she wanted to be the only
Yes,
child.
yes.
Okay. She wanted to be the sole focus of attention.
Yeah, she doesn't understand. She's a little girl, so she's an only child on that area. She's a little boy. They're different. But she's like, I wanted to be the only child.
Okay, did she tell you that?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
And was she, did you notice whether or not she expressed any emotions when my client directed his attention more toward his son? Did she express any emotions or any expressions?
No,
Just jealousy?
it became within time, but at that moment she was happy that he was here and everything was normal.
Okay, all right. But did she ever tell you that she wasn't getting enough toys or enough gifts?
She did say that, yes, sir, yes.
All right,
Yes, she did.
she did.
She did.
And because she thought Sebastian was getting more.
Yes,
Okay, she told you that.
yes.
Okay. And what would she do when she was telling you that? Or, how would she act?
Because she didn't understand that he was a little baby. So we needed to get toys for him so he wouldn't cry or something like that. So she wanted more, she wanted toys too. And we had to explain to her, this is your little brother. You have so many toys. Yes, you're gonna get your toys and we could give you, but she did express that, but I saw it normal.
Now, you two were working hard at the time, is that right?
Yes,
Both of you?
yes,
Not much time left to pay much attention to the kids because of work.
correct.
Okay. But once you completed work for the day, you two dedicated your attention to the kids,
Correct,
right?
yes,
And money was hard.
Yeah.
To come by.
yes.
Okay. Finances were a source of stress.
I'm sorry to hear your question.
All right, so here's the thing. There can only be one person speaking at one time. The court reporter is not going to say again that it's one person speaking at one time. What's going to end up happening is there will be nothing on the record. So a question needs to be asked, then the question needs to be answered if it can be answered. If it cannot be answered, then it cannot be answered. But we will not speak over the court. We will not speak again, two people at one time where the court reporter cannot hear. And to the court reporter, excuse me, there's no need to say, stop speaking over each other. If they're talking over each other and that's from the state or the defense and you can't hear it, then the record will just say two people talking at once and it's not written down. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ask your next question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when your husband was injured and you mentioned 2016, where were you working?
I was working at Conifer.
At Conifer?
Yes, Conifer.
Okay, what type of workplace is that?
Customer service / bill collector, account representative. I can't remember the title, but it was account representative, analyst, something like that.
All right, and you mentioned that your work schedule was from 8 to 5?
That was at Wells Fargo.
Wells
After
Fargo.
Conifer, this is that schedule was in 2018
Okay, when you're working,
at Wells Fargo.
okay. In 2016, September, on or about September, you were working at that other place. What was your schedule then?
That one.
If you can remember.
That one, it was sometimes we were there from 7:30 to 9. At the end of the month, it was most of the day. That one had long hours. And I was making $50,000. And for some reason I was doing good. But I was working, I was making commission. It was a good commission. I was taking home
Okay,
about 2,800 just in commission alone, so. I had to work and I used to love it. No, I still-
Now, what was your, you work every day from 7 to 9?
We used to work Monday through Friday and then we would work Saturdays.
You work Saturday? Okay. And, now, you mentioned that, first, my client had a, injury to his neck. That was the first injury.
Yes,
And then he injured his subsequently
the back, yes,
second injury to his back.
yes.
Okay. Before those injuries, and I'm sorry for being intrusive, okay, but were there intimacies between you two before the injury?
Yes, whenever possible, yes,
Okay, because of your work schedule,
right?
okay. You had to coordinate the schedule of one with the other and then have some time for yourselves.
Whenever possible.
Okay, and now, after the injury that my client had to his neck and back, did you notice any changes
Oh, yes, and everything,
in everything,
yes,
including his, the intimacies between you two?
oh, yeah, there was hardly nothing, correct, yes,
Nothing?
correct.
What about his capacity to perform after the injury?
He was in pain, not much,
Not much?
right, because of the
Okay.
pain,
And the pain was not just for one day or 1 week, it was throughout
That
months and months at a time, right?
yes, it was an intense ongoing pain,
He couldn't lift anything, bend, pick up anything, nothing like that.
the very first year, no.
Okay,
The second year, he will be able to move a little, but not even that much because of the back, so.
and at the time you were living where, when he had those injuries? At the Meadows place or
It happened in 220, in,
26?
is that, that's the name of the place, Hidden Meadows, yes, Hidden Meadows, 2016, and from there we moved to Sierra Royale.
Okay, and and there it becomes a time that you had to move to the new place.
After the 27, September 13, 2018, I moved to a different apartment, on the same apartments. But he wasn't there anymore.
What was, no, I'm talking about when you moved from Meadows to,
To Sierra Royale.
you right, to Royal, or was it
Okay,
in May 2017 or when was that?
probably so.
And that was about a year from the injury, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, but he was still in pain.
yes,
Okay, and so he couldn't do much, he couldn't be much help except driving to move,
right.
couldn't pick up the heavy stuff.
Yes, correct. No heavy stuff, no heavy lifting.
And that's why you or Mr. Garcia Sanchez sought the help of the neighbor,
Yes, correct.
a guy named Billy,
Yes,
all right? And and Billy helped only mostly for the heavy stuff or heavy boxes?
yes, me and him, Mia was helping putting stuff too.
But you did not, at the time, you were with the kids mostly and arranging items and stuff at the new place, is that correct?
Yes, so we here will help put the stuff in the truck. Mia would do minimum, a pen here, whatever, something here, and then we will go over there. And they will come back and get other round trips, and then I will stay with the kids. And
But Mia was basically under supervision what that was going on, is that right?
yes, correct.
You didn't want her to get hurt or to get, injured or anything, moving things,
right?
right?
Mhm.
So, while Billy and your husband were trying to move the heavier things or the heavier boxes, all right? Or do some of the driving,
My husband was driving.
okay? And was Billy accompanying your husband?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when at the old place on Meadows and the new place, was Mia required to do some of the chores around the house?
Yes.
Okay, and what were some of those chores that you were required to do?
Do the dishes. She will have to clean her room. Do swiping the floors. Minimum.
Minimum?
That
Okay.
stuff.
Now, did she comply with those requests or was she rebel? Was she rebellious?
Sometimes she will say, I don't want to do it, but
Okay.
we will
What-
see.
What about cleaning her room? Would she not do it right away or
She will clean it.
complain or
No,
complain?
not in her room, no.
Okay. Now, since you were working so much, I mean, how was the laundry being handled? You'll do it on the weekends when you were not so busy or what?
I was the one doing the laundry, ever since we were married, like most of his jobs were at a restaurant, so that required him to work on weekends.
Okay,
Like his, days off were like on a Monday, and, on a Thursday, but he was working, from
In
what I recall, weekends.
in fact, even when he was injured, he had two part-time jobs, is that right?
Right,
Okay. Would you consider him a hard worker?
yes,
Okay. And yourself, you're a hard worker.
yes,
Okay. And would you be the person as the mom to watch Mia's underwear?
yes,
Okay. What about the bedspreads?
same thing, I would do it,
Okay. The towels,
everything,
everything, right?
yeah,
You ever notice anything
no,
out of the ordinary?
no,
Blood,
no,
fluids of any kind,
no,
stains,
no,
nothing?
no.
Okay. Now, between the two of you, you and your husband, who would you say was the disciplinarian?
My husband or ex-husband,
Your husband? Did Mia like that?
no,
What would you do to express that she didn't like that?
she would argue back to him.
Argumentative?
Yes,
Okay. Kind of like, okay, and did she talk back to you or to him?
she did, but he will tell her, Camila, respect your mom. You don't talk to your mom like that.
All right, okay. And in fact, was CPS involved in an incident at some point?
When we were together,
Right,
yes,
okay. Did that involve perhaps an allegation that you have hit your daughter or spanked your daughter or something?
don't recall to be honest with you, but Mia was at the daycare.
The daycare?
Yes, she was at the daycare. When we got together, they even went to speak to that day. She was about 2 years old, but I don't even recall why or who called them and we just tell them we work, she's on the daycare, speak to the daycare. Like, that's all
Oh,
right.
okay, so
That's what I remember.
CPS did not involve you as a perpetrator,
I don't even recall that one, but I remember that.
okay?
But I honestly, I don't even recall like exactly what was the reason for, we would work and she was at the daycare and like I said, we just tell them, yeah, we work. She's been taking care of us and they went and speak to the daycare person. That's what I remember.
But towards the later years, when she was perhaps 9, 10, 11, did uh, Maria complain about uh, the control that my client had about your activities and her
Object to
activities?
hearsay, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did she ever, and don't tell me what she said, but I mean, did she ever express a body language that she didn't like what Mr. Garcia Sanchez would not let her do?
No,
No, okay. Now, what age was Mia when she got her first cell phone?
I think she was 7.
7?
I think so.
All right,
7 or 6 or 7. She was little.
very little.
I just remember that she got the latest, and I believe it was a iPhone 7.
All right,
But it was the latest one, and that's too much, Antonio, for him. But that was the way he was.
okay. And did he have like connections to internet and everything? Top of the line?
She had access to internet probably.
All right. And you had a cell phone as well, right?
Yes,
And you took that cell phone to your work?
mine, yes.
Okay. And did she know your telephone number to call?
Yes.
Okay. Did she ever call you like while you were at work to ask you for something?
No, just regular stuff. What time are you coming? How you doing? When they were home. If it was a holiday from the school, mommy, I miss you. What time you're coming? Oh, she will send me pictures. I remember. Yes, she will he will go, like if he was his day off, like I said, Monday, Wednesday,
Mhm.
he would take them out to eat to the mall to have an ice cream. They would send me a picture. I'm like, great, you're having fun while mom is working. So yes, she will use it. Stuff
Alright,
like that,
and-
normal stuff
So she will take pictures of
of them.
of,
Or yeah, it was the 3 of them in the
family.
picture. Taking them, okay, this is what we're doing, mommy. Okay.
all right, great. Okay. And what ages was she when something like that was happening?
Oh, she had the phone, probably 7, 6, 7.
Okay. What about when she was 8, 9, 10? Did she still have the cell phone?
Yes,
Did she use it in the same manner?
same thing, yes, normal.
Same thing? Sending you pictures of where they were eating and while you were at work and that kind of thing?
Yes, it was to me was a
Okay.
normal thing.
All right. Did she ever call you or text you, hey, mom, I am home?
She will let me know when she was home, yes.
Okay. And that's every day? To let you know?
Yes, the normal thing,
Okay. So you won't be worried?
right?
Okay.
Mhm.
And yet, you never got a call from Mia about anything, her crying, that her father had done anything?
No,
Nothing?
no.
She ever call you, and tell you, Mom, I don't want to be home, my father is there,
She did.
okay? And what was the context? No, without telling me what she said.
It was something just like what you said, like, mommy, what time are you coming home? Mommy, I don't want to be here. My dad is here.
Were they upset about something, you think?
I will ask, like, why? Oh, he makes me put to do a lot in the house, all the housework. I don't want to do it.
Object to hearsay, Your Honor.
Sustain.
All right. Now concerning the heavy cleaning at the house, who will do that? Would Mia help you or will you do it yourself? Like cleaning the bathrooms or something?
I will clean the bathrooms. That's my weekend days off,
Mhm.
house clean, all that. But throughout the week, like if you will see something out of place, he will say, Mia, pick it up. The dishes, it's something that we did like constantly, so that had to be done. And she hates doing the dishes up to this minute. So that's something. I mean, she just hates it. I do it. She doesn't do the dishes unless she like really, really had to do it, but I do the dishes.
Did my client ever tell her to do the dishes?
Yes, that's normal.
And
Yeah, do the dishes, yes.
did she resent that?
She will be like, okay, but she will do it.
Okay. Now. On September 26, 2018, do you remember that day when you took Mia to for a visit with someone called forensic interview,
The 26th.
Holly Wilson?
I don't recall. I had too much on the 26th. Okay. We had so much going on. On the 23rd, that was a Sunday. Monday came, that was a week after. I don't recall. We had visits, but I don't recall that specific date or that person.
This is the person that would ask, and this is like an office setting, some building.
Okay.
Center for Miracles or something like that, where you took her someplace,
And Sebastian?
like
Like a CPS when they call, that wasn't on that same day. I believe that was, I recall taking her, but that wasn't right away because CPS was informed, they had to come to the house.
well, okay, let me stop you right there.
Okay.
Where have you taken her for all these months or years? Let's start with the beginning. During the month of September, do you remember taking her? Where was the first place you took her?
We went to the counselor. The CPS came. Yeah, I took her to a place where they did an interview. That's probably what you're talking, that they, it was an office setting of probably 90. They took her into a room. Me and Sebastian were over here. They did say, Mrs. Calante, we're gonna ask her some questions, that interview her, and this is gonna be recorded. I remember that one. And then they sent us to, I believe it was Santa Rosa, where we took her, where they did, and this is about a month after probably,
Okay,
where they did like the pap smear.
okay.
That's what I remember. Those are the only things that I remember that we did right away.
All right, let me ask you about the interview. Were you able to hear or see her being interviewed in another room perhaps?
No,
No?
no.
Okay. And the person who interviewed her, did you meet her?
Yes,
Did you talk to her?
Yes, normal conversation.
Did she ask any questions about the allegations?
And object to hearsay.
Sustain.
Don't say, okay. What about, Santa Rosa Hospital, Children's Hospital? And that would have been November 12th, 2018. You remember that?
Yes, it was just a doctor visit and some kids
Were you
especially.
present in the examination room while they,
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I was.
and what did you observe happening or the doctors doing or the nurse? Or-
And she was nervous.
I can
And
imagine.
yes, she didn't want it to be touched. So I had to like, okay, explain her, this is something that has to be done, this is what they're gonna be doing, and they explained her too. This is a test they have to do but I stayed with her,
And you had to sign some documents
yes,
consenting to that, is that right?
correct, yes.
Okay. And how long did that last?
At the most 25 to 30 minutes.
30 minutes? Were there like one or two doctors there?
And there was two persons with us,
Two doctors?
two, yes.
Okay. And you don't happen to recall their names?
No,
Okay.
no,
And did they give you like a report of their findings of what they done to
Object to
Uh-huh.
hearsay.
Sustained.
my question was she given a report? I mean, as far as.
All right,
the
were you given
document-
a report?
no, ma'am,
No?
not that I
Okay.
recall.
All right, did they ask you questions about the allegations, the doctors?
Yes,
Okay.
they asked me
They
questions.
did? Okay, was one of your responses to the doctors, I mean, you provided answers, right? To those questions that they asked you?
Yes,
Were they oral or they was written? The questions,
I remember filling out a questionnaire.
filling out a
Uh,
questionnaire?
Yes, I remember that. And I assume they asked me questions, normal questions, the doctor himself, very brief questions.
Okay, did, one of your responses was, that you do not, that regarding the allegations of rape against Mia, your reply was, you do not believe it? Is that one of your answers?
I don't recall, to be honest with you,
Okay,
like answering or saying that.
okay. Well, was the question asked whether or not you?
Object to
you-
hearsay, Your Honor.
All right, that'll be overruled. It's untimely. She's already answered that she doesn't remember.
Okay. But do you remember saying that at some point earlier, her attitude, Mia's attitude had changed? And that is not only in the report, but also in the question you direct. Mia's attitude had changed at the beginning of the year.
Don't recall. Don't remember.
You don't recall your own testimony on direct?
Okay. This is at the doctor's, at that visit?
No. The question is on November 12, 2018. You told the doctors that Mia's attitude had changed earlier that year, at the beginning of the year.
Yes,
Okay. And that was also your answer to a question that the prosecutor posed to you earlier on direct, that she had changed. Perhaps, let me ask you this question. did she get more rebellious after Mr. Your husband moved out of the apartment or before? Or the same?
Years after,
After?
not right away.
Okay. All right. Now, let me take you back to November 23rd, 2019. I'm sorry, September 23rd, 2019. 2018, I'm sorry. The date of the outcry,
Okay,
and you were in the process of going to visit grandma at the time?
my mom,
Your,
the
your mom,
grandmother for her, yes,
okay, right? And that's when you happened to see a policeman passing by or park on the street, is that right?
yes,
Okay. Now, prior to September 23rd, 2018, you all have been in you all have had arguments, discussions concerning separation and divorce and all of that,
that was discussed once.
discussed once, that morning or the previous day or when?
That was on Labor Day morning, while having breakfast in the table, me and him, that was brought up.
And what day was
Sorry,
Labor Day on that?
just
year?
one second. Council, just one second. Does anyone need a break or no? All right, I'm gonna give you all a 10-minute break. Well, let me make it 15 minutes. So we'll be back lined up outside at 3:15. Remember, you've heard some testimony and some evidence in this case. You're not allowed to start deliberating in your mind or with each other. You're not allowed to do any investigation or take note of anything. Everything that you need to know about this case is from inside the courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise.
And I know that since you got a copy,
Original
the
training.
counselor just needs it for her records. So I just was gonna put your name on one and our name on one, but I was just wondering what your address was.
I kind of got comfortable like.
Oh, okay. Where's
This
the
meter intake, and like Juanita actually
she
called up one day and was like.
What do you mean, where's she at?
Keeping me completely
She
forgetting
here?
it's you. And,
All right, so
Oh, it's gonna work?
this is the
I'm
book
just
I'm gonna give you
gonna-
to read, and it's something for you to practice on.
Her
And I
documentation,
promise you,
release the records
once
to
you
her.
learn how to read,
That's the one for you.
it will open up a whole new world for you.
So I was just saying I need to put your.
And there is no shame in not knowing how to read, and we will learn together. How about that?
And then they were doing like.
So,
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, could everyone please whisper? So the first book that I'm gonna give you
Early retirement.
is Frog and Toad Are Friends. And the words, if there's a difficult word that you have, just sound it out. All right, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look into a place. There's a place I know for adults who are learning how to read, and they'll help you. And so then you just learn. I'm not gonna have you write a report on this because I think reading should be fun. No, Deputy Lauren Vachon, for the children out there, even if you have to write a report on a book that you've read, it's still fun. So, have you ever been given a book before? All right, so this is your first book from me to you. Frog and Toad Are Friends.
Appreciate that.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and then if you have any trouble with the words or whatever, you can come back to court. I'll be here. All right, you're welcome. Do we have?
But what I was asking is, do you know if you're gonna call the victim back or, she's like, cause she's been missing school and stuff, so it's kind of like,
Should this in school?
yeah, we have her out of school today. And then I didn't know if we.
Yes. All right, have a seat here.
And to use the microphone because they can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
All right, have a seat. All right. And you're gonna have to speak into the microphone because nobody can hear you.
Okay.
All right. Yes. All right, let's bring everybody in.
Read me.
Yes, we're ready.
All right, for the jury.
Oh, that isn't.
All right, everyone, please be seated. Defense is your witness.
Thank you, Honor. We were going through we had questions about when you first flagged down the officer. And Mia was with you in the back seat. And had you called an officer before this incident on September 23rd, 2018?
We were in Hidden Meadows when I did that.
You did what?
I called to ask about the passports because he wanted to take the kids to Mexico.
Okay,
And for that, they needed the passport and I didn't want them to go. I
Alright.
didn't want to go back.
was my client threatening to take the kids to Mexico?
He wanted to take them and I wanted to check if he was able to, I could call to make sure. So after that, he didn't bring that up. So I did call.
What brought up that situation? Were you discussing divorce, separation, or custody, or what?
No, he wanted to take the kids to Mexico,
Oh, for a
right,
trip,
to visit,
to visit, okay.
to visit, you know.
All right, stop. How many times must I tell each of you that you cannot talk over each other? The court reporter can take it down. No one can hear. Ask your next question.
Yes, sir. The second time you flagged down the officer, without telling me what she said, what was Mia's demeanor the second time you flagged down the officer? How did she look? How was she acting?
She was crying, she was scared.
She was crying and scared?
Yes.
Right? And there had been a discussion between you and your husband about names on the list, is that right? Names on the list of the apartment,
Yes,
right? And you had questions for the officer concerning what were your legal rights concerning that list?
yes,
Okay. And my client was threatening to, if there was a divorce, he would like to take custody of his son, right?
yes,
Okay. And was that concerning to you?
yes,
And was that also concerning to Mia?
don't know.
Okay. But she was not acting normal the second time you flagged down the officer, right?
She was scared and
She was
crying.
scared and crying,
Yes, but I didn't know,
you know?
like,
Right.
well, yes, I knew because she did. She made the, after he left, the first time that he left, so yes, so she was scared.
Right.
She was scared.
And she was acting different.
She was just in panic and crying.
Right, okay. Now, let me direct your attention to October 24, 2019. 7 months ago. I mean, not 7 months ago, I'm sorry. 2019, about a year after she made the outcry. Do you recall a phone conversation with the district attorney's office?
No,
You don't recall, how many times have you called the district attorney's office since 9/23/2018?
I would say that I called.
Or they call you, or
they called me on my birthday of last year. They called me. That was October 25th of 22 to notify me they got a decree. And it stated the child support was established. I got that call,
When is your birthday?
October 25th, 1980 is my birthday.
October 25th.
And that same day I got the call from them.
But this did not concern child support. It concerned this case.
The child support,
No, this case is not child support.
right? So this is nothing to do with child support.
Right. Okay, but do you recall talking to them about this case? October 24th, 2019?
19? Don't recall, sir. No,
You don't recall? Would it refresh your memory if I show you a document?
sure, okay.
Okay. Can I approach you?
Yes.
Just a sec.
This is not a document that you produce, but this is perhaps will refresh your memory.
Your Honor, I would object to the defense approaching the witness with an exhibit that's unmarked and thus far the state is unaware of what the exhibit.
All right,
is.
if you will mark the exhibit and show it to the state, please.
Showing you what has been marked as defendant's exhibit number 2 for identification. And I direct your attention to a,
Counsel, do you want to show the exhibit to the state before approaching the witness?
they produced this exhibit. Judge.
All right, if you'll show them what the exhibit is. Yes,
Take advantage of this moment to switch interpreters.
yes. Okay. Oh, no problem. You're welcome.
The state would
No, no,
object.
no, just 1 second. We're exchanging interpreters.
Oh, well, yeah. we should come in. Yeah. we should.
All right, to the interpreter, if you can raise your hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm you will faithfully translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record. All right, thank you. And Ms. Nero, if you need to move around the courtroom to better hear, feel free to do so. All right. State, do you have any objections to defense's exhibit number 2 being shown to the witness?
The state has no objection to the exhibit being shown to the witness, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed, counsel.
Thank you. Showing you what has been marked as defendant's exhibit number 2 for identification. Can you see defendant's exhibit number 2?
Yes.
I'm sorry, you need to speak
Yes.
up.
By showing you defendant's exhibit number 2, does that reflect your recollection? Does it reflect your, I mean, does it refresh your recollection, your memory?
No,
Does it reflect your memory?
no, like, no.
No.
I
Is your
mean,
name Maria Escalante?
yes,
Is your name in that document?
it's here, and it
Okay.
says October 24, 2019.
Excuse me, you're not allowed to read from the document.
I'm
That's
sorry.
defense exhibit number 2. The question is, does that refresh your recollection of the questions that the defense counsel is asking of you?
No,
Doesn't jiggle your memory any?
no, sir,
Okay.
no.
Did you ever speak with the district attorney at their office, person to person, or was it just through telephone?
It was over the phone. I never went to the general attorney's office.
To the what?
I have never gone to the general attorney's office to
No,
speak
to
with
the
him.
district attorney. To this gentleman and this lady here.
In the office, no. Well, we
Yeah.
came in. We came in to speak to them, brought me last year probably, was it? I don't recall.
Did you meet only once since the outcry with them, with the district attorney's office, or more than one?
In person, it was, I would say, twice.
Twice?
I just process, if I remember that we came here twice. I know once for sure.
When was that, the one that you were so sure?
It was here, somewhere in an office.
When?
It was on the 5th floor, I remember.
Not, when?
Last year.
What
This has
date?
to be last year. I don't remember the date.
Okay. Was that the first time?
No, I think we were here before. But I don't remember that date, to be honest with you.
And this has been going on for over 4 years, so it's understandable. But have you ever told them that you don't know if you believe that my client sexually assaulted the complainant?
Object to relevance.
All right, that'll be sustained.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Since 20, since September 23rd, 2018, do you have an opinion as to the credibility of?
Object
Mia?
to relevance and
Let me hear the question.
May I proceed?
Yes, finish your question.
All right. Do you have an opinion as to the credibility of the complainant in this case?
Object
All
to
right, babe.
relevance and improper character, improper impeachment of a previous witness. And it's up to the jury to decide the credibility of witnesses, not this witness here.
All right, that will be sustained.
May I establish some kind of a foundation, Judge?
No, the credibility is within the province of the jury. So the objection is sustained.
What about, okay. You, obviously, you are the mother of the complainant, is that correct?
Yes,
You have known her for all her life.
yes,
Do you have an opinion about to her trustworthiness?
And object, Your Honor, that's basically the same question she's asking.
That objection is overruled.
Do you have an opinion about her trustworthiness? You can answer that.
yes.
And what is that opinion?
She is very, she's my daughter, but she is, a person that will not say or do something that will be something serious, incriminate someone, if that's my, if you're asking for my opinion, like it,
The opinion is she trustworthy according to you? Is your opinion that she's trustworthy?
yes.
Pass away.
State.
I want to go back to some of the questions that the defense attorney asked you at the beginning of his line of questioning. He asked you some questions about how your relationship with the defendant was when y'all first got together, specifically when y'all first got married.
Okay,
And you told defense that y'all lived together for a year or two before getting married. You told defense that Mia was born before y'all got married, but that everything was fine at the beginning. And I want to explore that a little bit. When you first learned you were pregnant with Mia, were you together as in a relationship with the defendant?
yes,
Okay. And so y'all were in a relationship and you gave him the good news that you were pregnant with his child, correct?
yes,
And did he stay with you?
no,
When you had Mia, he knew you were pregnant, correct?
yes.
Did he know how long the human gestation process takes?
An object, Your Honor, to relevance to this case.
Sustained.
Was he there when you had the baby?
Relevance, Your Honor.
What
Your
is
Honor,
the
this is-
relevance?
In response to defensive line of questioning.
I did not ask.
What is the relevance?
Well, he asked if everything was fine when they started dating, and I'm probing the answer to that question.
All right, objection will be overruled. You can answer the question.
So was he there when you had the baby?
No, sir.
Did you initiate any proceedings?
I'm going to object to that question, Your Honor.
All right, let me hear the question.
Did you initiate any parentage proceedings?
After I had the baby?
Yes.
Objection. Relevance.
Sustained.
Did he officially acknowledge
I'm
paternity
going to
of the
object
baby?
to relevance,
Your
Judge.
Honor,
All right, so stop. So everyone, you've got to stop speaking over each other. Let me hear the question, then everyone can make their objection, and I will make a ruling on the objection. But I cannot make a ruling to an objection if I don't hear the question. So, counsel, what is your question?
after you had the baby, did he acknowledge paternity?
All right, do you have an objection?
Relevance.
Your Honor,
All
the
right, that will be
relevance-
overruled.
You may answer. After you had the baby, did he acknowledge paternity?
After the DNA test, yes.
What initiated the DNA test?
Relevance, Judge?
Overrule.
You may answer. What initiated the DNA test?
He said it, he believed it wasn't his.
And was there ever child support ordered that he had to pay?
An object to that question is relevant, not relevant.
Sustained.
When you guys got married, whose idea was it to get married?
Mine.
And was he in arrears for child support?
I want to object to that question, Your Honor.
Sustained.
So let's talk about prior to today and the yesterday, of course, when you were here for the trial. Had you spoken to defense counsel? The defense attorneys to my left?
No,
Okay. And on the trip back to Mexico, you were asked, did she shy away from your contact with your husband? Your answer was no. Although that she was about 8 years old, and I believe in your previous testimony, you indicated that her relationship with her father actually went bad prior to that when she was 5 or
Is there
6.
a question, Your Honor?
I'm
Ask your
getting,
question.
so can you reconcile the fact that Sebastian being born was originally the claim that caused the tension between Mia and the defendant, with the fact that you said that she didn't shy away from contact with him on this trip, even at 8 years old?
I call for speculation, Judge. I'm going to object.
Your Honor,
that will
the
be-
witness testified to both things. I'm asking her to rectify her.
All right, does anybody want me to respond to the objection?
I do.
Right, so the objection will be overruled. You may
So-
answer the question.
do you mind repeating that question? Mrs.
So I'm just asking for some reconciliation between the claim that when Sebastian was born, when she was about 5 or 6, that's when the problems really started between her and her dad. But when she's 8 years old and you're on the trip back from Mexico, you told us, you said on the record that that she did not shy away from contact with the defendant.
Okay. Thank you for that question, but let me clarify. So there was no, Sebastian was born, everything was fine. There was no, the way you put it is like, was there conflict? That was the reason. That wasn't the reason. No, like everything was fine throughout the years, as she saw that Sebastian was getting more attention and he loved it, but it's making probably his son, the bond, son, father, something related. Then she started kind of like noticing Sebastian's getting more attention and all that, but right away to answer that question is like, no, that wasn't the reason why there was a conflict. I never saw that at all.
And with regard to this conflict that you're saying eventually did develop, did it manifest itself in ways other than she saw Sebastian getting more toys and she wanted some toys too?
That was one thing. What I noticed was that there was, and I don't know at what time, probably this is after Sebastian, she was about 2. She had to be 8 or 9 when I noticed attention. But it wasn't because of the toys. That was one reason. But the other reason was she was asked to do more chores. And again, she would say, Mommy, Daddy wants me to clean the whole house. That was the thing that she would say to me. When are you coming home? He's just telling me to work in the house, do everything. So that was the main thing that I can say. She didn't like it, but I didn't understand like what was this hate relationship between them other than that,
Okay, but if she's mad at him for asking her to clean the house, what does that have to do with Sebastian?
Okay. So Sebastian was born, right, like you said,
Mhm.
and she wanted to be an only child, and still up to this date, she has told me, I just wanted to be an only child. Why does Sebastian gets everything? But this is because when this case started, right? So there's two incomes in the house when we were working. So we were able to give her what she wanted and everything. Now I'm by myself. This is going on 5 years, right? And I don't have established child support. Remember, so I'm struggling financially. Sebastian, he's not able, told me he's not able to give me nothing for Mia. Mia is getting older. She's a little girl. She needs more stuff, than kids. Sebastian is 3 years old, 4, 5, it's simple stuff. She wants more things. So that's where she's getting more upset at me and getting rebellious because Sebastian is getting more things, but she doesn't understand why I still have to take Sebastian to see Mr. Garcia when we have all this in place. So there's too much going on caused by this issue, and she doesn't understand it.
Object to the narrative, Your Honor.
Sustained.
So let's bring it back to what you were just saying, though. A lot of this happened when y'all went down to one income. So I guess my question is, what ways did she manifest that jealousy before she made her outcry?
Before the outcry, it was just like, Mommy, Sebastian is getting more stuff. And Sebastian doesn't have to do nothing around the house. And I had to explain to her, he's a little boy. He needs more attention right now. You are asked to do things around the house because you're older, but eventually Sebastian is going to be asked to do stuff around the house. That was before all this happened.
So this is, her complaints were that she didn't get enough toys and she had to do too many chores.
Right? Yes.
Do you think that's abnormal of children and their wants and needs?
I'm gonna object to speculation, Judge.
That'll be sustained.
And in January, right before you stopped talking, right before you stopped taking Mia to the counselor, was Mr. Garcia Sanchez giving you any money?
I'm gonna object to relevance.
That'll be overruled.
You can answer.
The money was going into one single account. We had no issues because of the money while the marriage, because we both worked, we had the same account. So my money was going direct deposit. And I said, so that wasn't like an issue when we were married. The money, we didn't have fights because of the money, to be honest with you. Because we worked both of the incomes were going to towards the bills. But remember, he was in deportation too. So there was an attorney cost also on top of the bills.
Mhm.
Credit cards, all that stuff, credit cards, normal bills, attorney fee, money that we
Right.
had to pay. It was a process. So it was a lot financially.
But I mean, in January of 2019, this would have been 3 or 4 months after the outcry. Was he still living with you?
No,
And at that time, she was around the end of her visits to the counselor.
okay.
Was
Judge, I'm gonna object. This has already been going on,
What's
already
the legal
asking
objection? What's the legal
answer.
objection?
The legal objection is asking answer, Judge.
All right, that'll be overruled.
so in January, when he wasn't living with you, were your funds still commingled?
They were okay.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Were y'all still putting all of your paychecks into the same bank
In
account?
2019, no,
Okay,
it was just mine.
so as y'all were winding down the counselor visits, was he giving you money?
I'm gonna object to relevance.
Overruled.
I can answer.
Yes, you may answer.
Was he giving me money? No. I'm
No
sorry.
money for food?
Yes, yes, I'm sorry. No, we didn't have a child support established, so this is 2019. He wasn't even here. He got here. Wait, okay, he was in Mexico. He said, okay, he was in Mexico.
Excuse me,
Not,
can you please just answer the question that's being asked of you?
Okay,
All right, what's your question?
During that time in January, when you were no longer able to send Mia to the counselors, you didn't have the money, was he giving you any money?
no,
When we talked about earlier, he had trouble performing sexually. Was that because of a physical condition, or was that because he might have been having an affair with another woman?
I want to object to relevant, Judge,
Sustained.
speculation.
When you and Billy, when Billy was helping you guys move apartments, y'all used two cars. And you told us that your husband was driving one of the cars, you were driving another car, and Billy was riding passenger in a third car. Then you said that you just kind of stayed at the new apartment and helped get it set up. Why wouldn't, considering there were two cars, why wouldn't Billy have driven one of the cars and had your husband drive the other car with you remaining at the house?
Judge, I'm gonna complain, object, rank as speculation, Judge.
Overruled.
You may answer. Why did you choose that vehicle arrangement for the move?
okay, so this is what I
It's not
remember.
relevant, Judge, I'm gonna object.
Overruled.
You may answer.
But this is what I remember. Remember, there's two trucks, okay?
Mm.
One is a pickup truck. So we loaded up that one. The other one too.
Mhm.
So we
I'm
load
gonna
up.
object that, the answer is not given to the question posed.
Sustained.
I guess my question is, if the defendant was so debilitated, he couldn't even move a box, why wasn't he the one who stayed at the house while everyone else drove the cars to move all the heavy objects?
So he was able to just, like you said, drive, right?
Mhm.
But I'm the one that is in
I'm
this,
gonna object to not responsive to the question asked.
Overruled.
so and this is throughout my marriage, I was the one doing anything in the house that had to be done with the house.
Mhm.
I was the one that knew where everything was gonna go, organizing. So I would have them bring me the stuff.
Mhm.
And I would say, put it here, put it there, let's do this, let's do that. And that was why I was the one that decided to stay in the house if I had to stay in the house with the kids, and they would go and get more, whatever they needed to get.
Who's they that would go get the items?
Billy and my ex-husband.
I thought you said that he wasn't able to help move items during this move.
Okay, so he was able to go and he would drive. Remember, I honestly don't know if Mr. Billy drive, but I don't think he has a car, to be honest with you. I don't think he has a car, doesn't has a car, but I don't know if he knows how to drive. So Mr. Garcia will be driving. Billy, Mr. Garcia will tell him, okay, Bill, we're gonna take this and this and that and that. And he wasn't doing much heavy lifting because of the bag.
How'd Billy move the couch all by himself?
I had to help him and Mia.
Okay, Mia helped move the couch?
It was, I remember that she did help. It was us three, nobody else that I remember on that move.
When did the bed in the master bedroom get moved into that apartment?
To that apartment. When?
Do you recall, was it the first thing, the second thing, the third thing?
Oh, I don't recall the order, to be honest with you. No, I don't recall the order.
Do you remember who moved it in there?
It was probably me and Billy.
But you don't remember when?
No, I honestly no.
You talked about, you were asked a question by defense that even when he was injured, he had two part-time jobs. You answered affirmatively. But when I had asked you about his injuries, you told me that he couldn't even sit down when he was injured. What was he doing at these two part-time jobs that was less strenuous than sitting down?
Okay, so 2016, right? He gets injured. He's home that whole year. Then he goes back and he would tell me that it was at a restaurant, but he would prep. Like when you're standing helping the chef, that's what he would tell me that he would do. That he will be just preparing or getting salads or stuff like that, vegetables. He will be working standing.
So he's on his feet all day.
It was only part-time. In 2017, it was only like a part-time job. And then sometimes he couldn't even go to work, because depending if it was heavy or something, the day and the pain, he would have to say, hey, I'm not able to go in today due to the pain. So we struggle. That year we did struggle.
And where was he working again?
I'm not sure if it was at Pericos that he was working. He did.
It was in a restaurant.
It was a restaurant. He has always worked, right? Yes.
Were both of his jobs at restaurants?
Yes, it was restaurants, but I don't recall the order of it because it was sometimes he will not be able to be there for so long, but it was restaurants.
Did he ever have to bend over and pick anything up at the restaurant?
I'm gonna object, Your Honor, lack of knowledge.
Sustained.
So let's talk about your financial struggles. You've gone on about them at length. When you're having financial struggles, why then would you buy a cellular phone and phone plan for a 6 or 7 year old?
Yes, so that was through in payments, and I believe it was through T-Mobile, finance. We had to pay probably $25, $30 or something. So it was in payments through the phone bill that we had.
So it was an additional expense for your family,
Yes,
and y'all were able to afford that.
yes.
Okay. When you stopped going to counseling, did the lack of counseling have an effect on Mia?
I'm gonna object to speculation, and this is not the right person to ask that question, George.
Overrule.
You may answer.
Yes.
What observations did you make after Mia stopped her counseling?
She seems sad, frustrated, depressed. She closed out, I remember, she closes out. And she just
I cannot hear you, George.
she closed out, she would not speak to me. I just know that there's something going on. She's angry. And if I would say, Camila, do you want this? No. Do you want to do this? Let's go to this. Can you help me clean? No, she was always angry. So, but I couldn't help,
Pass the witness.
Defense.
All right, now she was angry perhaps because of lack of money. There were no two incomes coming into the house.
Object to speculation.
Overrule. If you know the answer, answer.
Okay, let me rephrase that, okay? Before the separation, there were two incomes coming into a joint account being deposited there, right?
yes,
You had a debit card and my client had a debit card,
yes,
okay? After the separation, you no longer had that extra income coming in,
correct.
okay? Now, Mia is getting into her teenage years,
Yes,
right? And a girl growing up has more needs than a little boy, is that right?
yes,
Okay, so those needs you were not able to accommodate as easily as when your husband was there,
Correct.
right?
Right.
Would that be her, one of the reasons that contributed to her sadness or her depression? Of not
Definitely.
having that support?
Yes,
All right, now, let me take you back to when you were moving into a new apartment. Were you using 2 trucks or 3 trucks?
Two.
2, right? One was yours and one was my client?
both of them were under both of us names at the time,
Okay. But you used one and my client used the other one.
right?
All right. Now, did you get new furniture for the new apartment, like new beds and, do you remember that?
We got Camila.
A new bed?
Oh, yes, yes, we she
right.
got a bed set because remember, we were in an apartment and a half, kind of like. She didn't have a full bedroom on this one, but she had a little space for her bed. So over here, it was 2 bedrooms. So yes, you're right. Yes, we got furniture. for
You
both.
got new
Yes.
furniture.
Yes, we did.
Now, did you get a new furniture for Camila only or for you two, your husband and you?
Yes, we got it for both.
Okay.
Yes,
So you did not have to, you basically threw away the old furniture, the beds, which were all, I suppose,
yes,
okay? Threw them away,
right?
okay? You did not move them from the old apartment to the new apartment,
No,
okay? The furniture place delivered the new furniture at your new apartment,
it was delivered.
all right, okay? So my client did not have to move, nor Billy had to move beds of any kind because
Right,
you bought new furniture,
yes,
okay? And that was brought over with, the furniture store delivered that.
the living room was a thing that we moved. The couches,
I'm sorry?
we took them.
Okay, the couches were the only things heavy that were moved, is that right?
Yes,
Okay, all right, now, one of the complaints is that Mia was complaining because she had to work for what she got from you, right?
yes,
And she complained that your little son, Sebastian, didn't have to do anything to get what you guys bought him,
correct,
right?
right,
Okay. And she was getting upset about it,
yes,
okay? And this anger or upset went over several weeks and months, is that right?
it's still going.
It's still going, right? Okay, so this is not like a fly-by-night feeling of hers. It's persisted over the years,
Yes, getting better.
okay? All right, but now at first, when there was a separation, you hire a lawyer, is that right? For your divorce?
Yes, after the separation, yes,
Right,
yes.
and my client did not hire a lawyer, right?
I don't know. I don't
Did-
think so. He
did-
hired a lawyer, but it was for the criminal case, not
Okay.
for the,
I'm asking about the divorce.
no, I don't think
No
so.
lawyer showed up at the courthouse.
We didn't discuss that. That was, yeah,
Alright,
but I don't think
so
so.
you have no knowledge of a lawyer.
We don't discuss none of this, like,
Do you have knowledge that he hired?
Object to relevance, Your Honor.
I'm just covering
Right,
what.
do you have an answer to the defense attorney's question? Do you have knowledge whether or not
He hired a
he
lawyer.
hired an attorney or not? Yes or no?
no,
Okay, now, And once you were divorced, child support was sent. Right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, after being, after the accident and being out for a year or so without having to work, his benefits were cut off, is that right?
A year after, yes,
Right? And he was forced to go to work, is that right?
yes,
Okay, it wasn't because he wanted or felt capable of returning to work, but he had to do it because he had no income coming,
correct,
right? And that was an effort to help you and the family as well,
yes,
all right? And even though he was under pain with injuries to his back and injuries to his neck, he was working at 2 jobs. Part-time.
it was a part-time. I don't know if it was 2 jobs. Because he was struggling, but I know he had one for sure,
Okay,
but he couldn't do too much, so. I wouldn't say if it was, I cannot say for sure 2 jobs, like at that moment.
okay. Well, let me ask you this other question. You mentioned that he was working as a prep assistant to the chef, is that right?
Yes, he was prepping,
Or in prepping, what does that mean to you?
just cutting, he would tell me that he will be cutting vegetables.
Okay,
They would tell him, hey, do this, shred the cheese,
all right.
just do stuff that he
Light
was
work,
standing up.
light work,
Mhm.
right?
I assume that was all, like, we didn't discuss once that when we were home, we
In
would
your
not
opinion-
discuss work.
In your opinion, is it hard work to cut vegetables or cut tomatoes? Is it hard work or heavy
Well,
work?
It can be, because I remember him telling me, we got so many people at some during lunch or something, and they had to be like, they would brought him stuff, do this. So I remember that. He will mention stuff
Okay,
like that.
so he was, even though he was suffering, he was doing it for the sake of the
Yeah,
family,
they still had to get the work
right?
regardless, done.
And to get the income to help the family.
Yes.
Right. Also, when
Any questions from the state?
Yes, so we mentioned the bed. You got a new bed when you moved into that apartment. Do you know when, and you did say that it was delivered to your apartment. Do you know when it was delivered?
It was delivered. I'm not sure if it was like right after we signed the lease. The apartment was empty. Hamza did it, but I don't recall, like, it was kind of right away after we moved in.
So the apartment was empty when they put the bed in there.
We only had the couches. We had the couches, but what I'm saying is, when you go, you get the lease, but you have to get new furniture in.
Mhm.
I don't remember, like, if we move in after they had already installed the bed. I don't remember that, because we got the furniture, we got the dining room, and we got the beds, the bedding sets,
Mhm.
and we got a washer and dryer too from the same place, if I remember correctly.
But in
The
your
same furniture
recollection,
place.
the bed would have been there pretty early on.
I'm gonna object to leading you.
Overrule.
It was probably there before we kind of like move in because I don't remember sleeping on the floor.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't, otherwise, yeah, because we didn't take them, so we had to sleep on the floor, but I don't remember that we sleep on the floor.
Right. Okay. And I want to address one more thing that you said about Mia's jealousy of Sebastian and that it's still ongoing. We talked about earlier how it was kind of with toys and chores. Is it still manifesting itself in that same way that she just wants some more toys and she just doesn't want to have to do so many chores?
Yes, but now she doesn't want toys. Remember, she's a teenager. So she needs shoes, she needs pants, clothes, so, and
And has she grown up a little bit over the past 5 years?
yes,
So she would need new articles of clothing, shoes. as she
shoes,
grows.
glasses, I get her
I don't object
glasses.
to leading.
Sustained.
How tall was she back then?
Relevance,
Overruled.
You may answer.
Okay, back then, she was probably 4 or 5 back then.
And how tall would you say that she is currently?
5'2".
But beyond wanting more material possessions, as gifts, wanting to do less chores, does her jealousy with Sebastian manifest itself in other ways?
No,
No further questions. Pass the witness.
let me ask you, did you lease the new apartment prior to leaving your old apartment?
yes,
So there was an overlap between your tenancy, your lease in the old apartment and the beginning of the new apartment, is that right?
just a few days,
For a few days, right?
like, yeah.
But during those few days, you were able to arrange the purchase and the delivery of the new beds, the new dining room set, the washer and dryer, is that right?
Yes,
To the new place,
right,
right? And therefore, by the time you were ready to move to your new place, you could discard, throw away the bed. Is that right? So you don't have to move it,
right,
right? Okay. So you were continuing to live at the old place because of the overlap of leases, while the furniture was being delivered to the new place, even though you already had moved in partially. You had moved stuff partially, is that right?
right.
Okay. How old is Sebastian now?
9 years old.
9 years old? Okay. And is Mia demanding of you to buy her stuff, or does she need a lot of things?
Yes, not only clothes, but she's enrolled in school activities. For example, she's enrolled on PT, drill, ROTC. So she needs she has ceremonies. She's a bright student, so she needs proper dresses to go to the ceremony. So she needs also she's taking PAP courses, and that requires also a $15 test that she has to do so she can get credit. So it's also stuff for school. She went right now, she just got back from Florida. She was selected for a competition, 10 kids. So she needed money for the trip, as far as extra spending money. So with her school activities, she has also those needs that I have to provide for her, like money that I have to give her. You know, and on top of clothes and shoes and whatever else that she needs. So she's not basically looking for any extra for luxury, like she just needs a basic. And with that basic, it includes activities and stuff that she needs for school.
Well, you realize that girls that are involved in several activities and bright girls at that require a lot of support to develop into what they can become, right?
Right?
I object to speculation and mischaracterization of the.
Sustained.
That's the winning verse.
All right, thank you. The rule has been invoked. What that means, you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, did you have any more questions?
Your Honor, the state was going to let this witness be excused.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
No
All right,
problem.
you can step down. Call your next witness.
Okay.
All right, state your next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Detective King.
All right, if you'll take a seat here, please. Would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Be sure to keep your voice up so that the court reporter, the interpreter, and the jurors can hear. Can you state your name for the record?
Detective Alex King.
All right, state.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective King, where are you currently employed? Oh, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you, Judge. I think she was gonna ask you to spell your first name.
AL, oh no,
Oh, I wasn't, but you can go ahead and spell it.
ALEX.
All right, and could both parties make sure they give a witness list to the court reporter so she'll know the names? All right, state, you can continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective King, where are you currently employed?
The city of Leon Valley.
And were you so employed on September 23rd of 2019?
Yes, sir.
Or, I'm sorry, 2018. And what is your position within the Leon Valley Police Department?
It's been sergeant over CID at this time.
And were you employed as a detective in 2018?
Yes, sir.
And were you assigned to a case involving an outcry of allegations involving Juan Garcia Sanchez?
Yes, sir.
And do you see that individual in court today?
Yes, sir.
If you could please identify him by pointing to him and identifying an article of clothing he's wearing.
And there's light colored jacket, I think it's silver or whatever.
Your Honor, we'd ask that the record reflect a name, court identification of the defendant. And Detective, how long, in 2018, how long had you been employed with the Leon Valley Police Department?
In 2018, 15 years.
And during, prior to your employment with the department, did you attend the police academy?
Yes, sir.
And while at the academy, did you take written and practical exams?
Yes, sir.
Did you pass those exams?
Yes, sir.
And during your career, what further training have you had?
Continuous training every year. We're required to take continuous training.
And had you previously investigated any sexual assault reports in your career
Prior 2018?
prior to 2018?
Yes, yes, sir.
Approximately how many, if you can estimate?
Um, I became a detective in beginning of January 2017, so probably about 3 or 4.
And what are the procedures when investigating a sexual assault or sexual abuse claim?
Gather all the evidence we can. Determine if we have enough credible evidence to submit to the case to DA's office.
And specifically, what steps do you take in investigating a crime?
Interview your victims, witnesses, collect evidence.
Judge,
Anything.
I'm going to object to the use of the word. There's a motion in limine in place. and I just-
Sustained.
Does that involve speaking with the complainant in the case?
Yes.
Your Honor, if I can approach the witness.
Yes.
Thank you.
For what purpose?
Just to explain what's in the counsel.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, if you'll just wait out in the hallway for 10 minutes so we can take up this matter. All right, everyone, please rise. All right, everyone, please be seated. State.
Runner? Detective King, before we took that short break, I asked you what the standards or what specific steps are taken in investigating this type of offense. So if you can continue.
Correct. We contact the complainant, get their statement, and then contact any witnesses, collect any kind of evidence, process any kind of evidence, and so forth.
And in investigating this incident, what specific steps did you take?
Same steps. We contacted with complainant, contacted the outcry, the mother, and attempted contact suspect, the defendant. Sorry.
And when you first made contact with the complainant, where did you make contact with her?
So it was patrol officers contacted the complainant first. So we used Child Safe, which interviewed the complainant for initial interview.
Okay. And did you meet with the complainant at her residence?
No,
Are you aware of any officers that did meet with her?
I believe the patrol officer did.
Okay. And was that Officer Feliciano?
Yes, sir.
And was the complainant's residence within Bear County?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you first made contact with the complainant at Child Safe where she was interviewed, is that correct?
Correct. I don't believe I made that interview, but we reviewed the video.
Okay.
Recorded.
And what further steps did you take in this investigation?
Interviewed the outcry of the mother, which explained what's going on, and we attempted to contact the defendant, and he wouldn't respond back. We
When object to the not responsive to the question is.
Overrule.
Were you ever able to make contact with the defendant during the investigation?
no, sir.
I can answer.
Overrule.
And for what purpose were you attempting to make contact with the defendant?
Well, there's always two sides of the story. We just want to give them the opportunity to tell their side of the story.
And during your attempts to make contact with the defendant to get his side of the story, did you leave a card or callback information for him to get in touch with you?
Yes, we usually do it all.
And
Your Honor, I want to object to this line of questioning. And because of the constitutional implications that my client has to do anything to prove that he's innocent or tell his side of the story or.
Your Honor, the line of questioning is
Situation like that.
just solely for the purpose of outlining the defendant's or the officer's steps in investigating.
Well, the question being asked concern my client and alleged contacts to my client. My client doesn't have to, no citizen has to respond to anything. The presumption of innocence applies specifically in criminal cases.
All right, your objection is overruled. You can answer the question if you made contact with the accused.
We did not make contact.
And ultimately, what did you then do with the case after your investigation?
After looking at the whole interviews and stuff for the child safe and the examinations and stuff like that, we submitted the case to the DA's office for review.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Defense.
Oh. Detective King, we have met before, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And was it your boss that was served with a subpoena, or was it you?
It was the city secretary, the custody of records.
Oh, yeah, and
custodial
then
records.
you called me asking and asked me if you could respond to the subpoena, is that correct?
Yes, sir. She couldn't make it.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Overruled. You can answer the question.
Yes, she couldn't make it. So the chief asked me to come in her place.
Okay, so we had that agreement, is that right?
I'm sorry?
We had that agreement that you are gonna appear on her behalf,
Yes, sir.
all right? And you showed up in court that day,
I showed up in the hallway, not in
in
court.
the hallway,
Yes.
in this courthouse,
Yes, sir.
right? Not in this courtroom.
Yes, sir.
And we talk in the hallway, you and I,
Yes,
all right? And we have reached an agreement for you to show up the next day. Is that right?
well, we did not reach an agreement. You,
I'm gonna object again to relevancy.
Sustained.
Now, you mentioned that, first of all, let me. How many officers initially were in contact with the complainant and the mother of the complainant?
I believe just also Feliciano.
Was there working an officer by the name of Ciel Hernandez at the time?
Possible, I don't know.
Was there an employee in your department named Ciel Hernandez?
UCL Hernandez.
UCL
Yes,
Hernandez,
yes.
okay. And did Uciel Hernandez submitted a report as to having been in contact with complainant and her mother?
Not that I'm aware of.
I would try to object, Your Honor.
All right, you can ask your question, you can answer it.
Okay. Was there a report made by Uciel Hernandez, Uciel?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Why would you not be aware of that situation, you being the detective in charge?
Objection. Argumentative, lack of personal knowledge.
Overrule. You can answer.
I haven't seen one, if you're asking me. I have not seen one.
You haven't seen one, okay? Was there a body camera video submitted by Uciel Hernandez?
I have not seen one.
And is there a reason that, do you know, or was Feliciano reporting that Uciel Hernandez had been in contact with the complainant and her mother?
Objection, hearsay.
Overrule.
It's possible. I mean, some officers show up on scene to help out at a later time or so.
Well, is there a requirement in your department that if they are involved in an incident, that they should also submit a report and any video cameras they had worn at the time?
Any felonies, yes.
Okay, and this is a felony, right?
At the time, they didn't know, but yes.
Well, I mean, allegations of sexual assault were, one of your officers, Feliciano, was the outcry witness. Did you realize that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and to your knowledge of the penal code, an aggravated sexual assault of a child is a felony.
Yes, sir.
All right. And officer, did you know that Officer Feliciano was designated as the outcry witness?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. However, did you submit a videotape of the body cam of Officer Feliciano at least to Bexar County?
I did. When I filed the case, I did.
You did, and I'm not talking about the forensic interview. Talking about the body cam worn by Officer Feliciano.
Like we talked about in the hallway, I did. Yes, sir.
You did.
Yes.
How many recordings did you submit?
Just the one officer, Feliciano's.
Feliciano. And did you check and see whether there was any other officer as the supervisor of that department that had any role in the incident?
Yes, we usually do. Yes.
And did you find any other recordings?
I did not.
Did you ask around?
No, I did not ask around.
It is a procedure in your department to check on that all officers submit their body cam information to the department.
Yes, sir.
Okay, was that a violation of your procedures for an officer not to submit their body cams?
You have no choice to submit it. Once you come into the building, it downloads. So
Okay, and so what you're telling me that if UCL Hernandez had been at the location of an outcry for aggravated sexual assault, then that video should have been submitted to your department.
if he was using one, yes.
Well, Are there officers that use body cams and officers that don't?
Back in 2018, we had an old system, a Coban body cam system that wasn't reliable.
That was not my question. My question
I'm trying to
was,
explain to you.
well, and I appreciate that, but I'm gonna, respond to my question and then I ask you.
Go ahead and ask the question again.
Okay, the question is, are there officers in your department that have body cams and officers that do not have body cams?
They all have body cams.
All right, so whoever officer responded, an officer, you don't question the veracity of Officer Feliciano, right?
Re-ask the question, I didn't understand. I didn't hear
Okay.
you.
The veracity of Officer Feliciano is not in question, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, he testified that UCL had been at the location of when the outcry was made as well.
Okay,
Was there, and then is it your testimony that he should have submitted a body cam as well to your department?
if he had one and recorded one, yes, he should have submitted it.
Okay, but you're also telling us that he also wore a body camera because every officer wears one, is that right?
Well, I tried to explain it to you, but you won't let me. So,
Okay, go ahead.
yes, the old system, we required all to wear body cams. At the problem, we were having a lot of body cams not working. They would last for 2 hours and cut off. So it just depends if his camera was working at the time. In
Okay.
2019, we switched over to a new system to avoid that.
All right, but not in 2018, on September 23rd, 2018, when the incident took place. Right, there were officers wearing body cams,
Yes,
okay, all the officers.
they were wearing them, yes.
All right. And is it your testimony today that you submitted at least the body cam worn by Officer Feliciano,
Yes, sir.
okay, to Bexar County,
Yes, sir.
okay? And do you know what happened thereafter, or you have any control after you submitted it?
I have no control.
Oh, no control, okay? And let me ask you, how many officers are there in your department?
Altogether, probably 36, 38.
36, 38? Okay, and you are the supervisor of those officers?
Just over CID, investigators,
Okay.
detectives.
How
At the,
many
at the
officers?
time, I was not though.
Were you in a supervising role of officer, of any of the officers that appear?
2018, no.
2018? How were you involved in this situation?
I was assigned the case as a detective.
Okay. Was your supervisor Figueroa or something?
I'm sorry, say again?
I mean, what was the name of your supervisor?
My sergeant supervisor was Sergeant Eddie Gonzalez.
Eddie Gonzalez? All right. Now, concerning the officers that were, questioned the complainant, on September 23rd, 2018, did they have any special training other than what is taught at the academy for every officer?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Rule, you can answer if you know.
You'd have to pull their records. I don't know exactly what training they had.
Okay. And did they, you understand that officer, you understand the importance of the person training in forensic interview techniques is very important. That is the only person that questions a complainant in a case like this.
That's what you're saying? It's the only
Right.
person that question?
Well, the question
I
is,
don't understand the question.
okay, you understand that it's very important to preserve the integrity of the statement that the complainant made, that the questions are posed to that complainant by someone who has been trained in asking the appropriate questions to a child witness.
That's ideal, yes.
Right. Did you know that Officer Feliciano and Officer Hernandez questioned the complainant extensively on that at that time?
I did see the report, yes.
All right. And my question is, were they qualified to do that question?
I don't know if he was qualified or not. I don't know their background records.
Well, would it be interesting to you then, that the integrity of the statement being given by those officers be preserved,
Of course it would.
right? And would it be, I mean, did you have was there a directive given to officers in cases like this? Aggravated sexual assault or sexual assault offenses generally,
Mhm.
that they are not trained in forensic interviewing to not interview the witness until there such time as a forensic interview became available.
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
Wasn't it?
Overall.
Yours.
You can answer the question.
Yes, they're supposed to get the initial, not so much details, but the initial outcry. They're supposed to write that down.
Well, and the initial, and one of your officers got such detail, Officer Feliciano, that he was designated as the outcry witness in this case.
Okay.
Right?
Objection, Your Honor, there's no question pending.
Yeah. I don't understand it. You're not asking me a question, you're telling me something.
Ask your question, please.
Well, the question is that Officer Feliciano was given sufficient information, given on the information being given to him, that he was declared the outcry witness.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay. But to your knowledge, they had no specific training on forensic interviewing techniques. Is that right?
Not to my knowledge, no.
That'd be right. And you did not question the complainant witness yourself, is that right?
That's correct. Did not.
And you only view a videotape of the interview conducted by the forensic interviewer?
Yes, yes, sir.
You were not present when the interview was taken?
That's correct.
Right. And what's the witness?
Detective King, did officers of the Leon Valley Police Department conduct the forensic interview with the complainant?
In my opinion, no.
Who, if you know, who conducted that forensic interview?
Agency called Child Safe.
And it generally, is the outcry witness the same as the forensic interviewer in cases like this?
No.
And if you know, does an outcry witness require the same training in asking questions as a forensic interview?
No, sir.
Who can be an outcry witness in cases involving sexual assault?
Anybody could be an outcry witness.
Is there certain requirements of that person to be an outcry witness?
No, sir.
Is there a certain age that a person has to be in order to be an outcry witness?
No, sir.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Pass the witness.
Defense.
concerning your last response, do you realize that the person, that there's an age requirement as far as who could be the outcry witness?
Our definitions of outcry witness must be different because ours is to anybody that made the initial statement too, is our outcry. Right, like the mom, the counselor, the best friend, the same age best friend or something.
I realize that, but the question was, does that person has to be of any age? And you said yes.
Not that I'm aware of.
You know about the penal code, right? Do
What
you?
part of the penal code, sir? The penal code's big,
I'm sorry,
but the penal code's very big. What part are you talking about?
22.01.
Okay.
11 and 0.011, okay? Aggravated sexual assault of a child concerning this case.
Okay.
And there is a provision also, the outcry witness 3837, that, or 38037, that requires the person to be 18 or over.
Okay, well, I guess in the penal code, the way y'all look at it, yes, but any outcry to us is, we take it, we listen to it.
Does the penal code apply to the Leon Valley Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Nothing based on that, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
He's excused, Your Honor.
All right, the rule has been invoked. That means that you're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of defense.
Thank you, ma'am.
State, do you have any further witnesses today?
Not today. We do have some in the morning though.
How many more witnesses are you expecting?
No more than 2, Your Honor.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. I do not have a docket tomorrow. I've completely cleared it. So it will be this entire case at 9. Will everyone be able to be here at 9? All right. So you've heard some evidence in this case. You're not allowed to discuss amongst yourself or with yourself anything that you've heard. You're not allowed to start deliberating or doing any type of investigation. If you see or hear anything about this case, you're to completely ignore it. I will let you know when there's time to deliberate. Does everyone understand? The other question, and we're off the record. The other question is, would you all be all right with staying late tomorrow? Okay, what time is that? What time do you need to leave here to make that? Okay, all right, we'll make sure you're able to leave by 5:30.